Tell me that is not the most epic title screen you've ever seen.
I was trying really hard not to be in the background because there's no sound going.
I muted you.
Because I was sitting here going like this.
Well, we should be live. So hi, guys. I just realised I haven't actually set up the chat from YouTube. So just give me a second.
I have it here.
I'm too busy winding yarn.
I haven't even opened mine yet. I just got tea.
Give me a second. I'll have to mute. Hold on.
Oh, that orange was nice. Maybe I'll go back to that. Oh, wait. No.
Since when did YouTube bounce you into the YouTube studio when you're trying to go to a live? I tried to go to my videos.
Oh, that's odd.
Back. Hi, guys. We got a special guest tonight.
We do.
Yes.
You can somehow still hear despite being muted.
No, I've unmuted myself. Yeah, David will be using my microphone and speaker tonight because feedback is painful. And why won't this go back? YouTube.
Oh, someone called Renee just went live.
Well, that's good. Tell her to rack off. We're busy.
That bitch.
I know, so rude. Going live whilst we're live. How rude.
I can't believe this is still a running joke almost a year later.
I'm nothing if not consistent and corny. Okay.
Just consistently arseholes. And that is like our main branding.
Chaotic assholes.
All right. So while Renee sorts out the thing, you are muted at the moment as well. I'm not sure if you're aware, but I'm assuming you are. We're doing The Martian by Andy Weir, hence the epic opening.
Well, it would have been better if we'd had sound, but if we'd put David's sound on and it's running from his computer, then, yeah, remember how I mentioned that feedback?
Unless you mute and then he unmutes.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm set up, finally.
It doesn't matter.
We have Brandon. Hello, Brandon.
Heyo.
And Sue. Hello, Sue.
Bugger, I forgot something. I'll be back.
Yeah.
I don't think you're YouTube.
Give me a sec. As you can see, we're very organised. I do have to apologise. It's my fault we didn't go live on Friday. I had some unexpected appointments that I wasn't aware of, and I was too damn tired after it to worry about it. So, yeah. But we're here.
Sort of.
When it loads. Oh my God, everything is slow. Come on. Can you come? And we have the standard visitor.
No. I decided I wanted chocolate or like dessert or something.
Oh, thank you for the reminder. I've got to do my blood test. Then I can.
I don't think I've got any Tim Tams at the moment.
It's too hot for Tim Tam still.
Oh, today was cold enough, but like it hasn't really been cold enough any time that I've been shopping. So, but I didn't think I had anything sweet in the house. That's like what I want. And then I remembered. So I was sending Becca a parcel, and we both forgot to send. And now she's in Canada, so we're waiting till she gets back from Canada to send our packs to each other.
Oh yeah.
But I bought like some caramello koalas and stuff to put in it. And I have one because I was like, well, I might as well just like eat them all and then get more like halfway through the year. I have one left, so that is.
Okay. Did you just want the wall? I missed that.
When I came back, I did this. Hang on, let me put the chocolate down. When I came back before, I entered by doing this.
Ah.
Because why the hell not?
Woohoo, I'm still alive.
Orange Martian sand light going. But it is quite dark in here as a result. Wait, if I do this, hang on.
Yeah, Sue, I hope you're feeling better.
Oh, unplug, you bastard.
How's your leg? Because you hurt your leg over Christmas too, didn't you, Sue? So just let us know.
Fuck me.
No thanks.
Damn it, no one's taking me off at the moment. There we go.
Oh, dear.
Haha, let there be light.
Okay. So we're actually here to talk about The Martian. So welcome to the Knitting Bookclub.
I saw this and I was just like, I see a little silhouette of a man. Scaramouche. Fandango. Right.
Oh dear.
Ah, chocolate.
Okay. So The Martian.
Yeah.
And here. I do not have the physical book on hand because it is actually packed away in one of the tubs. Because we are attempting to get things organised before number 2 arrives, but you can start saying whatever you like, my love.
Fuck.
Yeah, 6 to 8 weeks left. And I've got nothing ready.
That wasn't what I was meaning to say.
Oh, yes, I know.
It's the start of the book.
Yes. No, it's actually, well, I'm well and truly.
Oh, yeah, that is the first of the book. The start of the book was like,
well, I'm fucked.
Exactly.
That's literally his sentence. Well, I'm fucked. So we'll chat a little bit about just a basic synopsis, and then we can have a chat about first impressions. Because is this the first time you've read it, Charlotte?
yeah.
Yeah? Okay. JJ, do you mind?
Audible Studios presents
The Martian.
Log Entry, Soul 6. I'm pretty much fucked. That's my opinion.
Of course.
6 days into what should be the greatest 2 months of my life, and it's turned into a nightmare.
Okay. First things first. Movie comparison with film. The first thing I noticed on rewatching the movie.
Hang on. Before we get into that, for those that haven't read The Martian, Mark Watney is Ares 3, so the third mission to Mars. He is the 6th member of the crew, so he's the lowest member of the crew. And due to an emergency, you comfortable, JJ? They have to evacuate. and depending on whether or not you watch the movie or read the book, depends on whether it's 6 souls in or I think 10 souls in or something.
19.
Not a big difference, but critical when it comes to food supplies. And he has to survive on Mars with no contact with Earth.
The movie really took some very large liberties with the dates. And I don't understand why. Because, like, it's I don't understand the advantage for changing the dates in the film.
I think it was a maths thing. I think they just figured it'd be easier for people to work out 10 days in, this much food supplies, this much left.
They did like 19 days in or something.
Oh, I don't know what it was, but yeah, because in the book it's like 6 days 6. What they call
yeah.
So one full day on Mars is
1 point.
a little bit longer than Earth.
Yeah, but when you take, but in the book it's like mission day 6 on the planet.
Sol.
Yeah, Sol 6.
Sol 6, which equates to like day 8 or something on Earth.
But in the movie, they make it something like Sol 19 when he gets stranded.
Yeah. They still
it's a passing comment. But why to change it? That's what I don't get.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's silly. And also, being 20 days in would mean he would have even less food.
Exactly. But they also extended the time frame of the mission. They also extend the time frame of the mission. They say instead of it being something like 25 days or something, it's something like 35 days or something. So
it's supposed to be. The mission in the book is supposed to be 30 days, and they send like 60 days worth of food.
Yeah, and they send everyone redundancy because food is cheap. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting the differences they made, because you'd think there's little things that mean nothing like that, like the dates change, like the times change. Like the reason, who knows? But yeah, so it's sorry, just got to make sure I get that right. I've got a cat helping me out here, so. So impression, Charlotte. This is the first time you've read the book. You'd seen the movie before.
So I've seen the movie multiple times before, but not in like about 2 years probably. Because I saw it when it came out. I saw it in cinemas, and then we watched it at home around the time it would have been out on DVD. A while after I'd seen it in cinemas. I originally went and saw it in cinemas because Sebastian Stan plays Beck.
Yeah. He's awesome.
I have a complaint about what the movie did to him.
Yes.
We will get to that later on. I have specific notes and a very specific rant about the Hollywoodizing the ending. I understand why they did it, but from after reading the book, it just makes me so mad because it makes no logical sense.
But I kind of think part of them Hollywoodizing the ending was because it was Hollywood making a film, and there's that bit in the book where he says, if this was a Hollywood film, I really think someone had fun with that. I think so, because that to me makes it clever. If they just did it because they thought it didn't look good and they would need to do something more interesting.
Not that bit. It wasn't that bit that annoyed me. It was the switching with Lewis and Beck that annoyed me.
Oh, yeah, that bit annoys me.
They could have left that exactly the same as it was in the book. It would have made no difference to the Hollywood ending.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have caused the issue.
He still could have done what he did, but it would have been to Beck instead of to Lewis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Leave it to the professional whose expertise it is.
Yes, exactly.
It just sort of undermined the character, I think, which was what annoyed me the most. It undermined both of the characters.
Well, you know, there isn't a core part during the entire book. What's his name? The flight control guy. oh God,
Okay.
played by Sean Bean in the movie, turns
Oh,
around.
yeah.
Lewis, Lewis has a right to make a decision here. She's not a shitty commander. What do commanders do? They stay in the main. They stay on the bridge and they send other people out.
Mm-hmm.
She's not a shitty commander, so why did she make that decision?
Well, she didn't in the book. It's the movie.
Exactly. And it's not. Look, let's face it. That is one of the big differences for those of you that haven't read the book compared to seeing the movie. One of the big differences is the end. Huge difference in what actually physically happens. Mainly, I reckon a lot of it was made based on visual aesthetic. But in saying that, a lot of it didn't need to be done.
Yeah.
But other than that, so
a big difference is the level of humor. The book is hilarious from page 1.
The book, you sit there sniggering through the entire thing.
Yeah. The movie, you still get Mark Watney's humor, but it comes up in little moments here and there, and it's undermined by the cinematography and the score constantly reminding you how isolated and alone he is.
See, well, the book is one of my favourite ways of books. I love Dracula too for the same reason. I love the log entry, the diary entry. I think it's a really interesting way to write a book. Because you can choose to keep a lot from the reader without actually betraying trust with the reader, because you're only getting views from a particular point of view, and A, they might not know something, or B, they don't want to admit it to themselves, so they're not going to write it down. And I really do like that logbook, or in Dracula, it's diary entries and letters. I do like that use, and in the book, that's how you get Watney's humour, is because he is writing the log entries. He is being very self-deprecating to himself. To be honest, I'm surprised he's not an Aussie. He's American.
He said he was American, didn't he? Yeah.
He is American, yeah. And at one point,
say in the book, though, that when he gets back, he's moving to fucking Australia in the middle of nowhere.
To Western Australia, because it's the furthest place from the potato farms of Idaho that he can think of. But I'm pretty sure there's some potato farms over in Western Australia. But that's his source of his humour. He's just like, and by eating potatoes, I mean hating with, hating with the fiery sun or something, whatever, I can't remember what it is. But and that's where his humour comes out, when it sort of gets lost in the movie, because in the movie you've got all the visuals. So you can see him fail. You can see him, there's a point where the hab gets damaged and he gets effectively shot out of the hab.
The way he describes it is so funny.
In the book, the description is amazing, but in the movie, you see it happen, so you don't need his description, which is where the humour comes from.
Yeah. So that was, I had a really, I made some extensive notes about this, and what I think it does is that the book has a lot more detail. I mean, it's a book, but
it's also technical, because
it's a lot more technical. The science is way better explained. All right, I'm going to go through my notes. So the book has more detail, a lot more science, many inconsistencies in the film, between the film and the book, and also I feel like there's probably more inconsistencies in the film because of the changes they made, whereas the book is very consistent with its science and the way that he does problem solve.
Yes.
There's sort of different dates. There's less explanation. They use duct tape on the hab to fix it.
God, duct tape is everything. Even NASA can't improve on duct tape.
Can you tell? My non-reading husband can quote the book.
But The issue I have is he says that in the book, but he doesn't use it on the hab. He uses the hab canvas and the super fucking strong glue to fix the hab. Also, the whole structure of the hab is like a balloon house. It's blow up. So when it gets a hole, it all collapses. Whereas in the film, it's like a proper physical structure. So when it blows a hole in the side, he walks in and it's just like Ghostland. So it loses the comedy of him trying to go in with one arm trying to get the suit.
I know. And also too, like, see, this is the thing is in the book they focus on the food. The food's the problem. The food is the problem. Once he runs out of food, he's dead. That's it. That's the movie. Sorry, not the book. That's the movie.
That is
in the movie. In the book, because there's a little bit more scope, they can focus on all the other challenges that he would face as well. And I think that's part of what the situation. It's like when you, if you ever do a string running class, they'll actually tell you that one page of, what is it? It's one page of a novel can equal up to 5 minutes screen time, which is why Lord of the Rings was so long, and yet those of us that love Lord of the Rings and can literally probably quote most of it off by heart will say that it's missing a lot. So, you know, there is that issue where you have to take that into account. And I think what they've decided to do in the movie was focus on the food, because that is relatable. No one wants to starve to death. And just brush over some of the other issues. So, like, obviously, when the hab explodes, in the book, it collapses on itself because it's effectively a balloon full of air. And he has to figure out how to fix it, get it back up and running, all whilst his suit is damaged.
Has 4 minutes worth of air and one arm.
Yeah. But in the book, that's not an issue because they're more focused on the fact that the food's dead.
Yeah. I mean, in the film, rather.
In the film, sorry. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm tired.
I'm just going to grab.
I've had some work.
My candle went out. So don't mind me. I just needed fire. My candle went out. But so what I think the changes do. So the difference is there's a very large tonal difference between the book and the movie, and a lot of that comes down to the humor and the way that they are framing it.
Yes.
What I think that does is it actually kind of takes away a little bit from Watney's character. Like, you still get a good amount of character in the movie, but in the book, you get so many layers of the character because you've got his sense of humor, his ability to problem solve, the sciencing, the incredibly intelligent sciencing, but still making small mistakes like forgetting to calculate his exhalation of oxygen.
Which is why he nearly explodes the hab.
Random side note, it really pissed me off rewatching the film that he then kept the fire going the entire time. I was like, what are you doing?
Ask any NASA expert what astronaut is likely to die of, and he'll say death by fire.
Anyway, so what I think it does is the comparison is the film, through its cinematography and score, it still has Watney's logs, but its emphasis on tone is through the score and the visuals, and they really emphasize his isolation and his sort of like,
it makes it more serious.
Struggle, his man versus nature struggle, survival, trying to grow food. But in the book, you still get that, but the tone is different because of his humor and the way that he is describing his situation. You almost forget that he is alone on Mars and hasn't spoken to anyone in however many
sex in years.
Yeah, but you realize the reason you start to forget that is because he is describing it a certain way, because he, through describing it a certain way, is trying to trick himself into forgetting that he is alone on Mars. Because if he just spends the entire book dwelling on the fact that he's alone on Mars, he's not going to get anything done.
So script for a novel is about 4 script pages per novel page, and each each page of script is about a minute long. Exactly that. Exactly. So when you look at The Martian, which is a 400 page novel, pretty tech heavy.
Yeah.
It just there was no way they're going. And this is the complaint with most adaptations. They always have to cut something out. They always have to leave a storyline behind. I mean, even Lord of the Rings, with its 3.5 hour special editions, left out so much information. Don't Faramir.
We need to do a Lord of the Rings edition at some point where we can have this rant, because we have the same rant.
Yes. Well, I've already read it. I've read it at least once a month, so you know. And by reading, I mean have it on in the background, also do the cleaning around the house.
Yeah.
It's either that or The Martian.
I've never done the audiobook, actually. I read it. So I read it in year 9, and it took me like 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks of school, to get through the entire trilogy. I just sort of sped through it in every available moment between classes.
And there is aesthetics you have to take into account when it comes to converting a book to a movie. Yes. At this rate, my novel is a 6-hour miniseries. Pride and Prejudice did a very good job of a 6-hour miniseries. So
did Good Omens.
Yes, so did Good Omens. But
I would want my book to be a miniseries over a movie, full stop, just because you get more time to explore all of the character stuff.
Yeah. But they're actually good examples. They're good examples of books that were turned into miniseries, Pride and Prejudice and Good Omens, that stuck. I think we even said in the Good Omens chat, this is the book. You know, it is so close to the book. Anything they missed out, I don't think I even thought of anything that they missed out in Good Omens.
There's very little.
It's almost word for word at some points.
Oh, yeah. I ran out of tea, so I'm boiling the kettle again.
Yeah. So anyway, but back to The Martian. Like, it's an interesting way. And okay, we're going to have to get into spoilers because we have to talk about the second half of the book, not just the ending, because one of my favorite bits that happens in the book doesn't happen in the movie.
Is this the rolling bit?
Yes.
Yeah. I remember getting that in the book, and I was like, I don't think they put this in the film.
They also don't put in his entire travel from Acidalia Peninsula.
They don't put in that. They don't put in
how he gets stuck. Okay, so what happens in the movie? Okay, we're into spoilers now, guys. So if you don't want spoilers about The Martian, go read it and come back.
Spoilers, fuck off now.
Yeah. So what happens is he gets stuck on Mars, and he outfits one of his rovers for long distance traveling. He uses it to go collect the not opportunity,
perseverance,
curiosity. No.
Perseverance. Something.
No. Perseverance is a new one. Pathfinder. Pathfinder has died. We don't know why it died. It's dead. Up on Mars, he uses that exact history. He goes and finds Pathfinder. He brings it back to his hab, which is his habitation. He fixes it, and he gets back in contact with NASA.
That was another thing that I noticed, another inconsistency. And I don't know whether it's an inconsistency in the book as well, or if it was the movie just changing the dates for fuck knows what reason. In the movie, he says trying to use technology from 1994. In the book, they specifically say they lost contact with Pathfinder in 1887. That's a pretty big gap.
I would say the book is correct because I know Andy Weir got the help of NASA experts. Yeah. But let us look that up.
Hang on. Charges is 18 something?
No, 19.
1987.
1987.
Finder.
Yeah. So it may have been a date that, like, Mark says wrong and is is like a line that they've added into the film that I don't remember being in the book.
Pathfinder was launched December 4th, 1996, landed in Mars, Ares Vallis on July 4th, 1997.
Maybe they said 1997 that they lost contact with it, and I just heard 80.
Hang on. It was designed as technology demonstration, new way to deliver instrumental lander and the first ever robotic rover on the surface of the red planet. I do believe we have a Lego set of Pathfinder, do we not?
Somewhere.
Yeah. It was one of the ideas range.
No,
It used to be called something
that
else.
was Opportunity.
Oh, was that Opportunity, was it?
Opportunity.
Both the lander and the rover carried instruments. The landing air back. See, they've got pictures. Oh, yeah, that definitely looks like the rover Sojourner. When did it lose? Goes through its findings. I know they lost.
So if it's 97, that makes more sense, and it's probably
landed in 97, and it lasted longer than anyone had expected.
Oh yeah.
If they lost contact with it in 2000 and something.
That's just me mishearing what they said in the book then, because they would have said 97 and I thought they said 87, and then when I was watching the movie he says 94 and I was like, wait, what? But that makes sense, because the technology was being made before it was sent.
The technical end of mission was September 27, 1997, but I do know that they had contact with it for a lot longer. I just cannot think of when.
Mm-hmm.
They had contact with it for a lot longer than 1997. They didn't lose contact with it in 97.
That's gone.
Yeah, they've lost contact with it now, but I thought it was like early 2000s when they finally lost contact with it.
No, you're confusing that with Voyager.
I've watched far too much Star Trek.
No,
Yeah.
Voyager. The probe, Voyager.
Talking about the original Star Trek movie.
Vija.
Vega. Oh dear. Aphrodite's headed off, so say good night, Aphrodite. Thanks for popping by.
Okay, what was I saying before I fucked up the date?
I'm exhausted. I've had a full day of work. Leave me alone.
Yeah. So he gets Pathfinder and gets it working, and they work out how to communicate between. That's all in the film. But then what's not in the film is when he's drilling a hole in the roof of the rover, he puts the drill next to the on a bench, and it shorts out. And he doesn't realize till later that night that the current has actually carried all the way over to Pathfinder through a bunch of things and shorted out.
Pathfinder is dead.
And so he's back on his own, and he's communicating with NASA using rocks to spell out Morse code messages on the ground so that their satellite images can pick it up.
This pulls up one inconsistency that I don't know if you noticed this one or not. This one bugs me to hell and back. In the movie, he doesn't lose contact with NASA. Okay?
That was really annoying.
Okay, so which is fine. No, that's fine. But they keep a line in the movie that's in the book that doesn't work. Because they've told him to go to Ares Foresight.
Yeah. No, I did notice that.
Which means he cannot be a space pirate.
Yeah, the space pirate one. Because he was like, no one's given me express permission. In the book, no one had given him express permission yet. In the movie,
how to do it. Yes. But in the movie, he's still in contact with NASA. They can say, go to the Ares 4 mission site and get the MAV. MAV?
The MAV, yeah, maybe.
I'm losing words tonight.
I never picked up on that.
It drives me nuts every time because what it is
that as well, and I was just like, yeah,
so
you still contact them. That doesn't work.
See, I love space pirates. No one is surprised with hearing that. So in the book, because he has not been given express permission, he says he goes through international law. So international law states that no country can hold land effectively off planet Earth. So that means the moon, the Mars, none of that can be held by any individual country. So the habitat that he's living in is technically US owned. He walks out onto Mars, he's in international waters. So when he goes to the Ares 4 site, which is where the MAV is that he's going to use to get up into space, he is taking over a US flagship in international waters without permission. That makes him a pirate, space pirate.
And no one can give him permission until he's already done it. No, the whole point is that no one can give him permission until after he's already done it, because the equipment to contact NASA is in the MAV, and he's lost contact with NASA.
Yes. So that is a little bugbear of mine. It's like, look, I know why they kept the line in the movie, but it doesn't make sense because he doesn't lose contact with NASA. But I did like how they did that little extra bit down in NASA where they're talking. Venkat is talking to, and she goes, he's asked us to call him Captain Blondebeard.
I love that.
Well, technically, yes, he explained it. You know, they did have that little play, so it does kind of work, but it's very hard to justify it when he doesn't lose contact with NASA.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing that I think they wanted to put in there so that they could have the extra jokes. And there was
an anniversary. You might actually have him killing the Pathfinder, but and not having it in the thing, because you don't actually see him really talk to NASA from the point of him punching holes into the rover to
no, you do.
In the movie though, he doesn't use the second rover as a trailer. He's got a trailer.
Yeah.
So punching holes in the top roof of his rover doesn't make sense. They do all this stuff and they skim over it really quickly and they don't explain it, whereas the book actually explains why. Give me a sec.
Yeah.
You're going to share the screen, are you? Okay. Hopefully we won't get too much nasty feedback.
He does actually contact them in the film between when he should have been out of contact, like when if they had just cut it and left it out ambiguously in the film for that section, because that line, how is he asked us to call him Captain Blondebeard, happens while he's traveling in between the two places, which during the book was when he was out of contact with NASA.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Sorry, JJ. Is it done? I can't hear it.
Yeah, it's done.
Okay.
Mark what now?
Space pirates. Okay. Hopefully we won't get any feedback. I think I shut everything down right. Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, sorry, I had to mute everything so you didn't get the feedback. But yeah, it's because he's got Pathfinder sitting on top of the, Granny Clampett style, sitting on top of the. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I guess like, when they're looking at stuff they can cut out, that's just one of the, if you're looking at it structurally from story structure point of view, that's one of the escalations that you need in the book that you don't need in the movie.
Yeah.
Because by that point, they're trying to build, by that point in the movie, they're trying to build as much momentum towards the rescue and the climax and the ending as possible.
Well,
and
it's
that's
part of our complaint about the change to the ending is they changed specific things in the ending to up the stakes. When in the book, you didn't need to up the stakes because he had already upped the stakes by having to do everything on his own.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Should we talk about the ending now?
Well, first of all, we got his trip to the Airy site is completely cut out of the movie, but we up the stakes. He gets lost at one point and ends up
storm. NASA can see the dust storm coming.
They can't tell him about
no idea, and it's such a big dust
why they
storm
cut it out
because he's already in it.
Which is why I think they cut it out, because I think they realised he still had contact with NASA. They would have told him about it.
But like, it wouldn't have been that hard to cut his contact with NASA, so they could include that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's the same with the roll. When the rover's going down what he dubs entrance ramp, which is to the crater where the map is. Yeah, it hits a soft spot in the dirt, and it completely rolls, and it breaks. The trailer breaks away from the rover, and he's got to spend like 2 or 3 days fixing everything. Yeah. That would have added another good 20, 30 minutes to the movie, just that one scene.
2 hours long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can see why they cut it out of the film, because if you added that in,
what was wrong with the rover and how to fix it and everything, it would have been a fair while.
No, they probably would have just shown snippets and tidbits, and
but it didn't. But they were so fixated on getting to the MAV so they can get him up into space, so they can have Lewis do her heroic move.
Oh, fucking hell!
All right, move to the end. Go on, you spoiled it.
No, I want to cover just a little detail about this. I feel like if they'd left the whole journey, everything that happens on the journey to the MAV, and the lack of communication with NASA it would have needed to be a fucking TV show or something, and that would have been a whole episode on its own.
It would have needed to be a miniseries.
Yeah, because if you had that in the movie, it would add like another, say, 20, 30 minutes, 30 if you're adding in the spelling out Morse code messages and explaining that as well. But by that point in the movie, you're already about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours in. If that ramps up the tension suddenly at that point in the movie, people are gonna like feel cheated when it's then resolved and that's not the ending climax.
Yes.
Like it's gonna feel like a false ending and then a second ending. Whereas if they cut that out, it's a much smoother arc in terms of
building. If you're looking at traditional storytelling, the climax in the book is him getting to the MAV and him getting the MAV prepped for launch. The actual him going up into space isn't the climax. That's actually the decreasing action.
Yeah, that's the denouement.
Yeah, that's them catching him is okay. There's a couple of little complications, but it's the denouement. It's not him getting to the MAV. He's done everything possible to survive, and it's up to the technology of NASA and his shipmates, his crewmates up in the ship to save him. He's he's passive now. He's no longer an active force.
Yeah. I think that's actually when you said that, that's a really interesting point. If you're looking at story structure, to say the falling action is when the hero is no longer the driving force behind the story.
And he loses all control once he's at life.
Yeah. because I just had like just random thought was like, oh, that's happened in my book as well around the same point. Is like the main protagonist who's been driving the story most of the time has nothing left to do at that point, and that's when it's the falling action.
They've done everything they possibly can, and now they just sit back and watch it unfold.
And it's over to the other supporting characters to wrap up the loose threads.
Yeah, denouement.
Really interesting.
Untying and retying.
I have this candle here that's very liquidy, and I almost went to pick it up and drink it because I've also got a cup of tea. We laugh.
Charlotte,
This is the first time that this has almost happened. This almost happened months ago with a candle on my desk. I went to grab it and I was like, wait, fire, hot wax, not tea.
Okay, the ending. He gets to the MAV. He fixes the MAV or destroys the MAV based on the instructions from NASA.
Doesn't he say at one point, no one's ever like destroyed a MAV like this? I'm one of the only people who's ever like torn the shit out of one of these
I love the line from the book where he says, the nice new shiny equipment that does everything it's been told to do because it's fantastic, and soon I shall be destroying it.
Yeah.
Defile it. Yeah, defile it.
Yeah.
The line in the book that he gets up, so they send him into space in a convertible. Effectively, we're going to put Cav canvas on the top,
which ends up causing more problems than it solves.
He does, yes. He would have been better off not having it
because it causes the course alteration, and then there's 68 kilometers or something.
It rips. So he's got canvas in the front of the ship because they've taken the nose out of the ship.
In the front of the ship.
Weight.
Yeah.
But the hard canvas rips, which causes friction, which stops the engine. And they've taken an engine off, remember?
Yeah.
They don't explain it. No, they have it in the movie. They say, No, they don't have it in the movie where they take the engine off.
No, they don't take an engine off.
They don't take an engine off. They take off something else.
They get rid of one of the first stage engines to reduce the weight. In the book.
No.
Yes.
No, they don't.
Because it's not worth it.
How can he remove a stage from the MAV that is upright?
One of the stage one engines.
He doesn't have the tools.
They do.
We'll just have to read the book again to settle this.
They remove one of the stage one engines because the power it gives is not worth. The power they can get from it is not worth. The power generated
is not enough to outweigh how much it weighs. Basically, it cancels itself out.
So he's missing one engine because it's NASA. They always deal in extras too. They always have extra backups. So they've gotten rid of his backups effectively. The canvas causes this friction, and it ends up too low in the atmosphere for the Hermes to reach him.
Yeah, by like 60-something kilometers. It's like way too far. But they didn't even need the canvas on there because Mars's atmosphere is so thin. By the time they were going fast enough to for like atmospheric resistance to be an issue, there's barely any atmosphere at all.
So my question there is, why did they have him put it on in the first place?
I don't know. Maybe it's like, I think the reason they put it on was so that they felt less bad about taking the top of the ship off. And I was like, don't worry, we'll cover it with a canvas. And then it's like, you may as well have just left it open.
See, well, my question there is if it had been left over and he'd gotten the full force of the wind, even though the atmosphere is quite thin, could it have actually hurt him?
Maybe. I don't know. That's some of the science they didn't add in. You'd have to ask Andy Weir.
Yeah, so that might have been a consideration as to why they put canvas on.
That would be a really good question for a Q&A with the author. Be like, why did they put the canvas over the top if there's this logic that they barely even needed anyway?
Yeah.
Like, was there a scientific advantage to having it there? Yeah. Because it
makes you feel better about being blasted into space and a convertible. A soft top rather than a convertible.
Or is the reason that they put the canvas there, despite it being a debatable choice, justified by the characterization in order to have the progressive complication of it causing an issue to make the distance.
Yes.
I reckon the main reason he made it put on there was so that it could cause the issue with the takeoff, so that they would have to problem solve.
Yes.
And then the justification behind it is more debatable.
Yes. Yeah. And you could justify as putting it up there as something to make them feel better, that he's got a cover there when he, because he doesn't have a cover there when he should.
And because the whole fucking world is watching.
Oh dear.
And it's yeah, we're gonna send him into space with no cover, and the entire world's just like.
But he's wearing his suit. He'll be fine.
Yeah, suit, and he can fly around like Iron Man.
Oh God. Oh dear. Okay, so he gets up into space. He's 68 kilometers off his intended spot. The Hermes is in a flyby, which means they can't slow down. Hermes is the ship that took them to Mars.
Hermes is the ship.
Can't slow down. Can't get. Can't maneuver. It's a slow thrust vessel. It's not like it's not like a Star Trek ship.
Yeah. They only have 4 minutes between when his launch and when they intercept.
Yes, 40 minutes. So they got time, but they don't have a lot of time.
Much time. Just
so this is where Andy becomes This is where Mark Watney becomes the passenger. Yeah. And his crew take over as effectively the main characters. So his commander, Lewis, in conversation with Watney, saying, you're low, and Watney comes up with the brilliant idea of piercing his suit on his hand so he can use it as a force to fly around like Iron Man.
Yeah, his idea is so that he can control the
on his hand.
Escaping oxygen as a thrust force to get some extra distance. And Lewis like, no, don't do that. That is a stupid idea. You will not be able to control it. So what do they do in the movie?
It gives Commander Lewis, the idea that of using air as a thrust.
Decompression as as thrust.
So this all happens in both the book and the movie. So they set it up to get their chemist, Vogel, who is
bomb out of sugar.
Who Watney thinks is an evil mad scientist because he's got a German accent and had a base on Mars. They get him to create a bomb so they could blow off one of the airlocks at the front of the ship to slow the ship, to maneuver the ship.
Slow it down.
Hang on. So there's two problems. They're too far away from Watney,
and then they're closer. Yeah. So the problem is they can get close enough. They can close the 60 kilometers distance, but then velocity will be about 40 meters per
second or something.
Yeah, too fast for someone to catch him out of the air, basically, out of space. So they have to find
very technical, and it's all explained very, very well in the book, but I don't have words at the moment.
They use the attitude direction thrusters. Attitude thrusters to steer, maneuver the ship closer to from the 68 down to like 10, 20 meters or something like that, and then they use the bomb to blow the nose off the ship
to slow it down. So so they effectively blow out one of the airlocks,
and then they let the escaping air. It blows out in a thrust, and they do it on the opposite end to where they do it on the front end, so that it's like an impact at the front that slows them down.
It gets a bit confusing because they don't really use directions in the movie, but in the book they do explain that they have to do the point thrust opposite to where they want to go to make it affect things. So they actually have to flip the whole ship at one point. but they sort of gloss over it a little bit in the movie. Yes, they do.
They don't. You've got to understand.
They flip the technology. They flip the information because they're trying to get the ship. The ship is trying to work out.
They do the reverse formula. I think it's
the reverse formula. Yes.
So they have the formula, and they have the calculations for how they'd have to adjust course if an airlock blew, and how far it would blow them off course. So they reverse engineer that formula to be able to work out how to reverse that to work out how it will reverse their velocity.
This is all good. This is all good. This is all great. This is all lovely. And then they realize that they are still, because of the way the airlock exploded, so to speak, they're still too far away from Watney.
Yeah.
And the book and the movie deviate, because in the book, they are. In the book,
they're within range.
They become in range. Bex, who is the EVA specialist, and the doctor, so he's probably the best person to go and get Watney, who's probably injured at this point, which he is.
Also has had more characterization from point of view than the movie gives him any time of day. And has literally planned, he tried to get Vogel to go against the captain's orders and let go of the lead.
So he could go and get him.
He could go and get him if he was too far away. Because the little, the suit that he's got has got sort of...
It's got a tenor.
Things. Yeah.
So
anyway.
And so he, in the book, Bex is able to do his job.
Okay, this is random. Okay. You know when he has to open the airlock, and the airlocks are designed so you can only open one at a time, and they need to blow up the inner one and have the outer one open in order to both open at once, because they don't want to blow up the outer one because they'll need to close it again after, and that's the stronger one. So someone has to be in the airlock, close the inner one, open the outer one, then go out the airlock and go around to another airlock and get back in. He's like, yeah, I can do that. That's easy. There's plenty of tether points. And he's clipped on to the side of the ship. What do they fucking do in the movie? He's not clipped onto anything. And I'm just like, what are you doing?
So the whole
and grabs onto a bit of the ship at one point. And I was just like, what the fuck?
because when you think about it, if he ever had to do an EVA to go out and fix something, he needs to be able to tether himself along the hull. So in the book, he's doing it like mountain climbing style. He untethers and tethers himself as he goes to get back around to the end.
He's not tethered to anything, and he's just jumping through space and grabbing onto bits of the ship, and you're just like, what have you missed?
And then his command. Okay. And so in the book, he goes and gets Watney. He's the first person Watney's seen in a year and a bit. There's a little bit of a slightly emotional moment from Watney going, oh, you're the first human I've seen. And Bex is like, oh, well, we've only got a few seconds, mate, so get over it quick. Yeah. And they get him back into the ship. Okay. Now when he's in the ship.
So he has 14 seconds to get into the MAV, unhook Watney, hook him to himself, get out of the MAV before the tether will run out, and they'll get yanked out.
This is something I love, because this in the book, this calls back to, there's a point about halfway through the book when he's in touch with NASA, and NASA is telling him, do this, do that, do this, do that, check this, check that, and he goes, and he literally tells them all to go have sex with their mothers, because he is frustrated by them telling him, micromanaging his crops.
Yeah.
Because he's growing potato crops at this point. We haven't even discussed the food, so we can discuss that a bit later. But in the book, he literally says, if Lewis was here and she gave me an order, I would follow it, no problem. But these are geeks several million miles away, and it just gets on my nerves. he is a very independent person. That's how he survives.
But not in the movie. No, he's going to fly around like Iron Man.
In the book, we haven't got there yet. In the book, he says, I will get out of my suit. I will get out of my chair so I can be waiting and help catch Beck when Beck is coming to save him. Yeah. And he is told directly by Lewis, no, stay in your seat. Beck is coming to you. He stays there. He does as orders. In the movie, he goes,
he's looking
I'm
out.
going to do what I want. Cuts his suit open and flies around like Iron Man. But he's not the only one.
But this isn't even the biggest issue with the movie, let's be honest, in this scene. In this scene, instead of the EVA specialist, who is the expert at doing this specific job, being the one to go and get Watney, no. Captain falls down, gets into her own suit, and takes over. She is not an EVA specialist, and her reasoning is, I won't have another person putting their life at risk because of me. That is not what your character has been established as.
It gets better. How does she get from the Bridge of Hermes to the airlock when they've depressurized the entire ship?
There's also another important part that you've forgotten too.
Hit us.
Huh?
What?
That in the movie, when he pokes a hole in his glove in the EVA suit, right? You see him fly through space all wiggly wackly, and he's flying through space. Yeah, fair enough. He grabs onto the tether.
Yes. Which he could actually pull apart if he grabbed onto it too hard. Yes.
Yeah, okay. So he's got a hold of the tether and he's
flying around in the circle around Lewis.
No, I noticed that. And then
suddenly out of his suit is still escaping out of his glove.
Yes.
And then by the time that all occurs and gets back into the vessel, how you going, guys? How you going, guys?
He's got no hole.
No hole, but he'd be out of air.
Yeah.
He'd be out of air.
Yeah, because,
it's not
logical.
I noticed that. Like, after he gets caught by, like, Jessica Chastain's captain character, they basically forget about the fact that there's a massive hole spilling air out of the fist of his glove.
You could justify it a little bit, but if you actually watch it, the tether gets wrapped around his hand. So they could justify a little bit by saying that the leak wasn't as bad as but he ripped a bloody hole in his suit. If you see the hole he puts in the suit when he's, when he first does it, it's because he uses a pair of pliers. He rips a goddamn. And how does a EVA suit get such a hole ripped into it so easily?
Exactly.
And the visor get cracked so easily.
Oh no, that makes sense. The visor part makes sense.
That makes more sense. But
it's just a crack.
Yeah.
In the movie, it's half his bloody. It's these entire. Yeah.
But how does Lewis end up with a little cut on the chin too?
Oh, because he hits
her. They collide. Her head goes
in, catches hold of her. His force of him hitting her, she knocks the front of her suit. You can see it in the movie.
Hang on, but those EVA suits are designed to
be far enough away
to hold you in place like this.
Oh no, but she's the commander. She has to get a little bit of blood. Otherwise, what's the worth of it? It's not
Hollywood. It needs some more drama.
But
there's also one line too.
Yeah.
Okay, fast forwarding right to the very end of the movie. This is space. It does not cooperate. Everything will go south on you. You have to be prepared for that. So, of course, they're not prepared to have his suit kind of like explode.
Well, I know. Well, see, at the end of the day, the most accurate depiction of someone going out into space with a ruined suit or something like that is actually in Avengers Endgame. No. Infinity War, when right at the start, when they get the sorcerer.
Yeah.
He gets off because the kid's seen more movies. But the biggest problem I have with this entire series of events in the movie is, one, Watney's character is destroyed because he literally said,
and the captain's character and Watney's character are all undermined in the series of like
just for the sake of action.
Yeah.
And look, I love this movie. We watch it very regularly. I mean, there's a reason our son's name is Mark. Because we were trying to decide on a name we both liked, and we went, oh, we both like Mark Watney from The Martian. Mark's a good name. We like that name. But at the end of the day, they've undermined three of the three main characters. You know, Watney goes against his thing that he would follow Lewis's orders, no question. Bex, who is the EVA specialist, isn't allowed to do his job because his commander doesn't trust him to do his job.
Because he doesn't have the emotional baggage, supposedly.
They all had the emotional baggage. They all left him. They all made the decision to return.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. They also give a lot of injustice to the crew because they don't actually really discuss what could happen to the crew if the pickup of the food
failed. They left out the cannibalism bit.
Yeah. So in the book,
which resulted in one of the most inappropriate, hilarious jokes in the book, when Martinez says, "So who would you have eaten first?"
Mexican.
That is not funny.
So that if they fail with the pickup of the food from Earth when they do a flyby in the Hermes, because they effectively force NASA to go ahead with the plan.
What do they call it?
The Rich Purnell maneuver.
Yeah, but it's not mutiny. It's like it's something starting with B.
Well, it's not mutiny because NASA actually tells them that they got to do it now because they.
No. In the book, they call it something else. So in the book, in the last scene when they're having the beer, he asks, "How's it going post mutiny?" and she corrects him what the proper nautical term is. Mutant. Oh, I got to know.
That must be an extra chapter because I don't know what you're talking about. Did they actually have a scene where he's having a beer with her?
Wait, that's not in the print book. That was in the Audible book.
No, it's not in our Audible book.
It's in my one.
That must be an extra chapter.
Maybe
because in our
book or something.
In the original book, it ends with him saying, I think about all the people and thousands of people on the planet and NASA and that you know survived and you know that helped me survive and my crew who put all this extra hundreds of days in space so that they could come back and get me. You know, he has that gratitude speech.
Yeah.
But he's still on Hermes in Beck's room waiting for the painkillers to kick in because of his broken ribs.
No, there was an extra scene in mine where he's basically back on Earth with agoraphobia and never leaves the house. And then he leaves the house to go have a beer with
we'll have to check our special edition book and see if it's in that.
The book?
Where's
the book?
No, the book is in the bottom tub.
Why is the fucking bottom tub? I thought it was still on the...
No, it's packed in there. It's
should be. It's my book. It should be still on my...
Oh, well, go check the bookcase. As far as I'm aware, it's stuck in a tub down there waiting for us to move into the new study. So, but yeah, no, we don't have that book. We don't have that chapter.
Yeah, let me see. Barratry, not mutiny. So barratry is when a captain disobeys the direct orders.
But it's not considered mutant. Yeah, no, because It wasn't technically a mutiny because her entire crew backed her.
Mutiny is when the crew goes against the orders of the captain. Barratry is when the captain of the ship goes against the direct orders of the higher authority.
Yeah. Which is what so mutiny is what happened on the Bounty.
Yeah.
And also there's a movie that David enjoys watching.
Mutiny is what happened on Jack Sparrow.
It's a submarine one, and it's got a mutiny situation.
And Jack Sparrow.
And Jack Sparrow. Yes, mutiny. Mutiny. But at the end of the day, like I must admit, I like the ending of the movie when he's back and he's in NASA's training facility, because he actually mentions it in the book that when he gets back, he should teach a course on, surviving space 101, where he teaches people not the and the movie sums it up quite well when he says is, eventually something's going to go wrong and you just got to work the problem. You just got to fix this and then fix the next problem and fix the next problem. And if you fix enough issues, you get to go home.
Really?
And I really like that.
So my version, there's chapter 26. And so there's the final log entry, Sol 549, which is when he's in the and they say,
Sol, because I'm no longer on Mars.
This one has the next bit is some selections from files of Mark Watney. Diary of an Arscan. I Made It. Car Trouble. Oops.
Car Trouble. This has been.
Shut up. Car Trouble. The Earthling. So it goes through previous diary entries from before he went to Mars when he's first selected for the mission.
So it sounds like cutscenes.
And the day before launch. And then diary entries from afterwards where his therapist told him that he used it as a coping mechanism and he should keep doing a diary.
Yeah, see, we have only up to chapter 26. So yours must be like the special edition or something. That's the Audible. Did you use the Audible one?
Yeah.
Everywhere on Earth, they gathered. In Trafalgar Square and Tiananmen Square.
Okay, so that's the final.
They watched on giant screens.
This is interesting because we listen to it all the time, and I've never heard those extra scenes. So let me just go into.
It's like an extra 30 minutes. I think.
30 minutes.
Hang on.
26. 27 minutes extra files.
You've got the version that was done in 2020.
Possibly, yeah. Well, I just got like the current one that's available on Audible.
Narrated by Will Wheaton, narrated by the same person.
Will Wheaton. Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
You know who that is?
Yeah.
That's a young kid out of Star Trek Next Generation.
Yeah, brand new production. Andy Wismar. Yeah, you've got the new version. We've got the version that was released.
We got the one that was narrated by R.C. Bray.
Yeah, R.C. Bray, performed by R.C. Bray, and it was released. Let me bring up the issue because we've had this for years. Details.
I don't even know if that one's still available on here then. Because when I search for The Martian, there's so many versions. It's in every bloody language.
I used to have a US Audible account, and I converted it to Australian.
Ah.
So I can't return like 90% of my books that I haven't listened to because they're not available in the Australian account, Audible. So yeah, that might be part of the reason.
Yeah.
I used to have a US account.
Okay, so we have very different ideas of what the ending is then. Because in the film, the ending that they do, right, is very different to the extra files included in my version.
Mm.
In my version, he gets back to Earth and becomes basically a hermit who plays video games at home and doesn't like going outside and gets everything delivered to the house and is in intensive therapy. And is also makes a joke about having all sorts of probes from the doctors, and he doesn't have a single orifice that's his own anymore because he's getting so many tests done.
So he pretty much survived 2020 then.
Yeah, well, yeah, basically. But like, it's because he's had so much exposure to radiation from being on Mars for so long that they're like, it's remarkable you don't already have cancer.
Right.
But then
those cancers, you know.
Yeah, so he doesn't like going outside, and you get a couple of diary entries of him before going to Mars where he's like super excited at getting selected, and he doesn't know any of the crew. And then there's one from the day that he's selected, and there's one from the day after they do the intercept failure test where they're stuck in the MAV together for 3 days, and they all want to kill each other. And then there's one, let me go back. There's a random anecdote about his car breaking down and him having a flat phone battery on his way back from one of the massive NASA like bases. And what he does is he cuts open, he doesn't have the charging cable for his phone. He only has the data cable for his phone, which nowadays makes less sense because they usually do both. But what he does is he cuts open his like cable and wires it to the car battery to charge his phone so he can call someone to come pick him up, so that he doesn't have to walk the 20 kilometers in the desert or whatever.
Which also shows that he is a techhead and knows his stuff.
Exactly. And then you've got the Earthling, which is where he goes, he's a hermit this is after he's a bit of a hermit. He's sort of obviously dealing with the trauma, and then he gets the invitation because when Lewis writes him the message when they first get contact, she says she's going to buy him a beer afterwards. She invites him out for the beer, and they have a conversation, and she's no longer at NASA because of the whole barratry thing of disobeying direct orders. But she's been hired by a like multi-billion-dollar private company who wants to basically make the sort of outer, like in first space hotels, like in just outer Earth orbit, like the sort of space station, but for civilians. So they're hiring ex-NASA people because to train an astronaut of like Mark Watney or her caliber costs like $45 million. Yeah. And because they're already trained, they get paid millions every year to go work for this private billionaire company. And she's offering him a job basically and trying to convince him
to doesn't have to eat potatoes, he'll be fine.
And it's really funny. They meet in the pub and the waiter is asking him what sort of fries he wants. And he says, no fries. And he's like, but they're free with the burger. He's like, hold the fucking fries. Basically yells at this waiter that he doesn't want the free fucking fries. And it's so funny. But it's also kind of funny because it comes just after a bit where he says he stays inside all the time because his face was plastered all over the world for like a year or whatever, and so he gets recognized everywhere. And the fact that he gets recognized everywhere and then the waiter doesn't seem to realize why he wouldn't want fries. Oh, God.
Well, you got to wonder how much information they owe the public, don't you?
That is true, yeah.
They gave a lot of information, but what did they hold back? Like they hold back, it's very obvious in the book that they hold back that he's gone and dug up a nuclear item.
Yeah. Decaying plutonium or something.
Yeah, plutonium and that. So it's interesting, you know, because that's actually something that would be very interesting to pull apart. Like if you did this book as something like in a year 12, is to pull apart that NASA's a public listed, you know, public domain, but they even say in it, we don't have to tell people what we've gleaned from the photos. We only have to release the photos.
Yeah.
You know, so there's ways around it. There is definitely ways around all the information.
And for the ones where it's like easy to figure out, they release a statement with it so that they don't have people figuring it out.
Oh gosh. Mike's still alive.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm eating chocolate.
I want chocolate. I ate all my chocolate.
They had these at Aldi.
Yeah, rub it in, whatever. Oh, I'm halfway through a row. I didn't finish it. But yeah, so the ending.
I've still got. Well, let's put it this way. It's lace weight. I've got 1,100 meters.
Oh my gosh.
And I think I'm about halfway through it.
Yeah. So the ending in my one was a sort of open-ended in that they could do a sequel if they wanted to, but I don't think they will ever. Because I don't
think he wants to. I think he's even mentioned something along the lines of that it, like Mark Watney's adventure has even ended, like it's finished.
Yeah. See, what I can see them doing is picking up that setting of the space hotel and doing another thing in the same world setting with different.
Well, I know his second book, Artemis, is about effectively. I think it's about an astronaut being stranded on the moon.
Because Artemis is
Yeah. So they go like making a base on the moon and he gets stranded there. So
I did read that, and that sounded like it could be in the same world a bit further in history. Like they could mention that time Mark Watney got stuck on Mars 50 years ago, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's like that in the book where what's her name? The foul-mouthed media expert literally was saying to herself, this scene is going to be replayed in every documentary ever made about Watney's situation, regardless of whether they get back or not. So she has to be so composed when she's literally standing there saying, oh, yes, we just realized, remember that astronaut we killed and had a lovely funeral for? He's alive, how bad?
Yeah.
I love that line. She's awesome. I must admit, what they did for her in the movie was actually pretty good. Like at one point, it's in the special edition of the movie. She's talking to
the extended edition. Deleted scene.
God, Venkat. Sorry, I said his name before, and now I'm struggling with it. She's talking to Venkat, and something is said about why you work for us or something. And she goes, I have 3 ex-husbands that have to pay alimony. Yes, there's equal rights kicked me in the ass or something. And I'm just like, because that's new, but that's perfect.
Yeah.
And another thing I liked in the movie, and even Andy Weir has actually said in interviews that he wish he'd said it's a true Mark Watney quote. I'm going to science the shit out of this. That actually in the movie, that was a movie edition. Script writers had written that. So there were great points in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
But I just
it's a really good film. We're basically nitpicking the inconsistencies because it's a really great film, but even with it being a really great film, the book is so much better.
Yeah. So, like for instance, in the end of the book, as the traditional ending as we know it, like we don't have those extra chapters. He literally says, if this was a Hollywood movie, all the crew would be in the airlock and would be high-fiving and cheering and cuddling and hugging.
He said that in the movie.
And he goes, but thank God it isn't a movie because I broke 3 of my ribs, and he's in pain. But in the movie, they were all in the airlock. Let's not discuss the fact that the Hermes has been bloody lost all its atmosphere and how the hell did they get from the bridge to the airlock. Let's not discuss that. They're high-fiving because it's a Hollywood movie.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So what's this?
This is Mr. Andy Weir himself.
Oh, oh yeah, he did a Mythbusters. Really, their fan.
Cool.
Yeah, no, he's a
Yeah. A couple of the Mythbusters team died recently, didn't they? I can't remember which ones.
Yeah.
One of the girls died in a car accident or something.
He died, didn't he?
The Chinese guy and the female got injured.
The engineer, the Chinese engineer, he was awesome. What's his name? He was lovely.
And the female got injured.
There's been a couple of them. I'm gonna have to look up which ones are still alive.
Did they die in experiments, or was it just he passed away?
One of them died in like a high-speed car accident.
That was the Chinese.
Oh, I remember hearing about that. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I love the Mythbusters. The original Mythbusters. I mean, I know it's gone through a few alliterations.
They've got a few additions to the team over time, but like so.
But it's like what was it? Top Gear. I used to love Top Gear, and then it just after like season 20, it just lost the plot.
Yeah, and now like they tried to keep it going with different hosts with the same name, and it just did not work and completely flopped.
No, come on, you can't beat James May.
Yeah, and then the original hosts went off and did their own car shows with Amazon Prime, and I think they may have wrapped up now, but they did like a bunch of them. Yeah,
no, because it's just the three of them were just brilliant together. But for all the faults of the shows, but anyway. But yeah, so The Martian. Final thoughts, because it's 9:30 and we all have work tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Yes, you have work around the house. Yeah, well, Dave, okay. Let's put it this way, David. You're not a big reader, even though I force you to listen to Lord of the Rings at least once a month via audiobook. By choice, would you sit down and read The Martian?
Yes, eventually.
I bought him a book for Christmas one year, so he's got a book to read eventually when he's got the time.
The book that's in the bloody storage box.
Well, it was in the cube that we put in Mark's room to fill with Duplo.
It was in my...
It was in your side. Yeah.
My book, my side. You don't touch.
It had to be packed up. We need space for Duplo.
I think you guys need to go out and get a couple more copies of The Martian tomorrow.
Well, we actually need a readable copy, so one that can actually be destroyed. This one is a special hardcover. Special. It's probably got those extra books, those extra scenes in it, actually.
Bree just got home and she walked around the side of the house to the door and she was singing something, but it sounded like a creepy child haunting the outside of the building, and I was just like, that better fucking be you getting home.
Well, it's almost Easter. Are we going to have the great famous throwing of the Easter eggs?
Oh, don't remind her.
Because you do know Big W has all the caramel and like the Turkish Delight filled ones. They're solid.
I will accept Turkish Delight.
Yeah, I keep meaning to go buy like 4 bags of the Turkish Delight ones because they're pretty much the only ones I want. It's like when you get the favourites box and the roses. All I want is the Turkish Delight ones.
Yep.
And maybe the plain chocolate.
There's a really good, I don't know if they still do it, but there was like a Dutch and German grocery store in Croydon when I used to live out that way. And they used to get the filled solid eggs, and they'd be like a few dollars for a big pack of them. That was so good. They had the Turkish Delight ones and they had like the peppermint ones, and they were like better quality chocolate than the Cadbury ones as well.
I hate you, Sue.
Good.
There is nothing better than going to work in your PJs.
I just remembered I was meant to look something up and I didn't. So now I'm looking it up.
Okay, The Martian, you all know I'm a fan because I haven't shut up about it for the last 12. I actually missed my my YouTube anniversary, which was in January, I think. So over a year, I have not shut up about how much I love this book. So But the movie's decent. It's worth watching. But I think once you read the book, you'll see what we see, which is some of the issues with it. But it's definitely worth it. It is definitely worth. And I think the technique of the logs, and I think from memory, there's only like 2 or 3 scenes where it's actually like third person. No, it's even second person, because it's the astronaut. Like it's written in second person, I think. Like when he jumps out of the rover because he's made it to the Mav, and he's pumping his fist in the air, and is that second person or is it third person? I can't remember now.
It would be third. It's not second. Second is you.
It's very, very it's very impersonal the way it's written. It's not third person omniscient or anything. It's like third person restricted view or something.
It's like the
really well done.
Yeah. It's third person, and it's not close third person. It's more removed third person.
Yeah.
But it's not omniscient either, I don't think. Yeah. Oh, okay. No, I done my research very quickly because we haven't announced what next month's read will be.
Yes.
And I have the title, and I have a link.
Oh, David found this. We have to show. Yeah. Can we please get the instructions for that?
Oh,
that is the Hermes in Lego.
It's cool.
I need that in my life.
Yes.
Oh, hang on. He's sharing the screen. That's the Mav. Is the rover in there?
No.
Oh, custom fig. I must have. We need one for Mark.
Nice.
Well, Mark's first. Okay, so when you do a Lego event, you get a brick. So you usually get a name brick, and if it's a big Lego event, you'll sometimes get you can usually choose what you get on the brick. So Mark's third Lego event, Brickvention 2020 last year was his third Lego event. Bear in mind, he was only like 6 months old. He got a brick that says Space Pirate.
Yes.
And what was the other one? It was just his name, the other one, wasn't it? Yeah. But we definitely need a Mark Watney sig fig to go on top of his Space Pirate, I think. Sig fig is like a signature figurine.
And you know what?
Made a mini fig that's designed to look like you.
You know what Morgan is going to be?
I haven't actually said what her name's going to be on live.
I think you told us, didn't you? Because that was the options.
It's all right, but that's all right. We've already named her.
Yeah, it's another M, isn't it?
There's 2 lines.
I love you 3000.
And I love cheeseburgers.
Yeah, and I love cheeseburgers. Yeah. Because you all know we're geeks.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if you had told our group chat what the final pick was, but I remember that being on the list. So I was not surprised when I knew exactly who you're referring to when you said that.
Yeah. Susie's just gone, don't worry, I won't remember. It's all good. It's only another 6 to 8 weeks and it will be official anyway. So.
Do you have any Easter eggs? Chocolate.
You are desperate for some chocolate, woman.
I really want chocolate. I'm going to hate everything I have. Which was one caramel. Not anymore. I stopped buying those things.
One of Charlotte's first ever lives breathed through Easter eggs at her on a Sunday morning.
I'm expecting it to happen again. That was all. You got Easter eggs, have you?
It's deep in the lore of chaos that
it was one of your second live Sunday live. It was,
It was one of the early ones because I think like Brooke Passmore was there. And it scared the crap out of her at one point. So it would have been like the second or third one.
Yeah. Okay, so our next book club, which Knitting Book Club. Yes, I know I haven't done much knitting, but I'm prepping.
Shall I?
Two lace double for my next project.
I have it open.
Okay. Shall we say?
Hang on, I'll share screen. So I've basically gone off recommendation of. So it's not the first one. It's not the first one, but it's where they recommend you start if you're coming in new for the very first time.
Which I haven't read. I haven't read the originals in so long. I might as well be coming into it for the first time.
Yeah. So next month we're doing Schlock Mercenary by Howard Taylor, and we're starting with forced multiplication because it's the one that the website says you should read first if you're a new reader. I think he recommends starting like a bit of the way in because by that time he knew what he was doing and it makes more sense.
His first few books were very episodic and just whatever he felt like writing about because it started off as a webcomic.
Yeah.
So it was very, very short, like literally short story-ish style. So, okay. So we'll start there. I don't know how many we're going to read. We'll just read, I guess, at least to the end of the storyline.
Yeah, so I reckon we'll read this one book, like the whole of book 12.
Yeah.
Because you can buy them in books now, but we'll
I
just
used
read.
to have the first 4 signed by Howard Taylor, who I met at AussieCon for. Yeah. And I don't know what I did with them in one of my movies.
Read as if we're reading the entirety of forced multiplication, and I don't know how much that is yet, so I may regret this, but also I feel like it'll be a very fast read, particularly because if you look down here, there's the transcription, which means I can do this and do this. I don't know if you can see doing stuff.
Book 12, Force Multiplication, Hand Delivery of a Wedding Invitation, Drops Schlock, Bunny, Para, Book 12, Force Multiplication, Hand Delivery of a Wedding Invitation, Drop.
There we go.
That reminds me, there's a certain book I haven't started reading yet, and I promised I would start.
Oh, yeah. I'm still on chapter 1.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, this is the most I've been in front of my computer in about 2 months.
Yeah.
You may have noticed my last podcast was very lightly edited. Because it was just like, convert, put a couple of titles in, I'm done.
I didn't even realize it had been edited, so
I cut out like 3 things.
Yeah. I actually, now that I think about it,
the entire time. Well, Mark was asleep next to me the entire time too. Don't forget.
I can probably do this now. Now that we're on to we've kind of covered all of the stuff now. I should actually. Yeah. Oh, I did finish the row. Yay! I got 1 row of knitting done. Oh, that's enough for me tonight. If I have bandwidth in my brain this week, I discovered like a funding opportunity because I've had this podcast idea. We actually recorded a few episodes last year and then COVID.
Oh, that's right. I remember you talking about that.
I found a potential funding thing that I could apply for, which would mean I can apply for with a budget, like submit a budget proposal for between 5 and 8 grand to get it funded. And I've actually had some more ideas of how to evolve the idea of the thing.
Cool. Could I submit that so I could get a new Canon camera? I really would like I really would like a 5D.
You may have to impersonate a 25-year-old because it's 18 to 25-year-olds, so I only just make it for funding, which is why I'm like actually quite keen to submit something because it'll be like next year is the last year I actually can for this particular thing. It's not a grant, it's like a development lab funding thing, which is even better because that means you get access
one too. There's the Australian government business one run through Centrelink, but you can't have started your business yet. And it's like, I've had my ABN for years. Technically, my business.
The new enterprise investment scheme. My mom's actually doing that at the moment.
I would love to do it, but one of the requirements is you can't have started your business yet. And it's like, well, I've already released knitting patterns. I've already started podcasts. I've already produced a book. Too late.
I wonder whether, like, if you called it, like, I don't know, something else.
Nah.
Although you've already got the name.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
no,
that's
I'd rather just be honest. I've already started it.
There's probably a way around it because, like, I'm planning to do that maybe next year.
Because I would love to do that. Because if I could do that next year after mat leave, that would give me 12 months to get everything kick-started, the knitting patterns back up and running, the Vengeance publishing back going. Because I reckon I could have my book finished and ready to release by the end of next year now. I just can't screen now.
Totally look into it because I reckon you could still do it.
I reckon it might. I reckon when they say you can't have started your business, you can't have been getting profit, maybe.
Yeah. Well, because the whole point is they want you to develop a business plan and have, I think it's like 20 grand turnover in the first year or two. Supposedly.
I mean, not everyone's ever going to make that, but that's what they're trying to get you to do. Yeah. Which is very, very doable with a couple of published novels. You just need the time to sit down and get edited and written.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a really good option. I'm planning to do that next year or the year after.
We could be class buddies.
Yeah, totally. It's all on Zoom at the moment, but I think Stephen did it last year and he ended up in
that for me is perfect to do it remotely because let's face it, 2 kids.
Yeah.
You know, I'll do it whilst they're like
all the business training. It's actually a really good scheme. Like
well, I was listening to one of my podcasts, Create and Thrive. She interviewed someone that did it. And I'd completely forgotten about it because I remember hearing about it about 4 or 5 years ago, and then I'd completely forgotten about it being an option. Yeah. And it's like, well, it's technically a retrain, which is something that I really should be looking at whilst on that mat leave, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
it's really good. Anyway, this funding that I've got my eye on, they only fund 5 projects, so I think there's not a huge amount of competition for it, but there's enough that there's more than 5. Like there was about 20 people at the info session I went to.
You wouldn't have to be a complete, like, not that what your proposal wouldn't be great, but you wouldn't have to be outstanding to be considered. You know, when they had like 200-300 applicants and they've only got 2 spaces, you have to be really outstanding to
I would say I don't know how many applicants they usually get. I would say it's possible they could have 100.
Yeah, but going to an information night doesn't mean you're going to apply.
Exactly.
And because our council did something similar for business a few years ago. I don't know if they did it last year.
And also there's going to be applications that don't meet the criteria.
Exactly.
And they also don't pick anyone who has an application that's similar to something they've already done in previous years.
So you have to look at what they've already done and say, is my idea different enough? Yeah.
Well, I think just judging on the market out there, like I haven't done enough market research, but
you have to show this off.
I think it's filling a niche that's pretty empty at the moment.
He's in his big boy bed and he's asleep.
Yay!
He's just got to learn to sleep under his under his weighted blanket, not on top of it.
Yeah. Anyway, if I can get it done, I need to submit it by like 5 p.m. Friday. So if I can get it done during the nights this week, the good thing is
some productivity sprints on Whiskey Wednesday.
Maybe. That might be a good idea, yeah.
Oh, I haven't done that in ages because I haven't been allowed to drink whiskey.
Yeah. Friday is my day off, and I just realized I could do it Friday, but I've also semi-planned to go ukulele shopping with Dad either on Friday or Sunday. So if we went on Friday, that would knock the day out.
Don't tell his father, but I'm looking for ukulele recommendations for Mark.
Oh, the ones, like the basic ones from...
A little acoustic.
Yeah, the basic ones like the one I've got from JB Hi-Fi are about $32 and they're pretty
that's
good.
all I'm after. Yeah. I actually want one that I can paint to look like the Wiggles guitar. So it's got like a red, a purple, a red and a blue section.
Yes. You can get them in all different colors. So you could get a white one and then paint it with the 4 colors.
I'm actually fairly certain Audi a couple of years ago had like literally a make your own artwork on one. Like literally you bought the kit and it came with like the paints that you could paint it and lacquer it.
It probably did, yeah. You can probably buy them online as well.
Mm.
But yeah, that one's from JB Hi-Fi. Mm-hmm. And it's been really good. Like I really like it.
They're just like the $20-$30 ones that show up every now and again. Like they dump in the middle on a crate and there's like 50 of them.
Yeah. Yeah. JB has pretty cheap ones and they're pretty good. That's what my one is. And the one that I was looking at the other day was like $400 and you can make it sound like an electric guitar. And I love it. And I'm just like, I would need an amp as well. But then if I'm full-time creative, it opens up the option of taking an electric ukulele out busking with an amp. And that's fucking awesome. So,
well, see, I was actually saying today at work because the photos came through of Junior at Care, and you know he had his music maestro and stuff today, and he's always like front center staring at the guy when he's got his guitar out, and I'm like, oh, I do hope he does love guitar because then I can get a guitar too and we can learn again together. I do miss my acoustic guitar. I used to play classic.
Oh, ouch.
That's not very well tuned.
Oh, shit, fuck. So I broke a string like a year ago. And I just bought a new set of strings when I was looking at the ukulele.
Oh, they're going to have to stretch.
So I've put new strings on and they're still stretching out.
Yeah.
So it goes out of tune every 5 minutes.
Yes. But the more you play it, the quicker they'll stretch.
Well, you can tell how much I haven't played it.
Yeah. That was one thing when I was performing. You always had a set of pre-stretched strings sitting in case, just in case 5 minutes before you went on stage. I guarantee you if it was going to break, it would break there. Oh. I think we lost David. He's moved on. Anyway, we're going to have to call it a night. I was hoping to finish rolling this. I'm close. I reckon I've only got a quarter left. About 300 metres left of winding. Look, isn't that an absolutely gorgeous colour?
Ooh. It's very wintry.
It's got a bit of sun damage, but I think that actually is part of its charm because it's mainly purple, but it's got the occasional sort of bleach pinky area. It's going to look great held double with just pure black.
The only problem is I've been learning ukulele. I can barely remember any of the guitar.
Too busy playing ukulele, honey.
Yeah.
That's all right. I'm tone deaf. I wouldn't notice if you did wrong anyway. long as your rhythm's right, Says she who used to, play full-on classical guitar. I needed to buy an electric tuner just so I could tune my guitar at one point. I could hear that it was out, but I just couldn't get it right. Does that make sense? Like I could hear, my ear wasn't developed enough, and then I stopped playing well before I had any. But that's all right. I have other crafts, other making items, including this, which is very good for the arms, I must admit. Very good. Working on those arms, the wings.
Yep.
Anyway, guys. Okay, so if we don't have any further thoughts in regards to the Martian, I think we'll call it there. Yeah, I do think it's one of those books where and look, writing wise, it's not a difficult book to read. It doesn't really go crazy on, even though it's very technical, it explains everything really well.
Maybe we should get sponsored by Audible so that every time we can say, get it on Audible, it's really good.
I usually say get it on Audible because it's the only way I manage to read anything longer than a Wiggles DVD.
Hey, Audible, if you're watching, you can sponsor us.
They used to do sponsorships.
They still do.
Yeah.
Because I follow just did a spawn with Audible.
Before they had their Patreon, the writing excuses used to be Audible based.
Audible sponsored, yeah.
And there's quite a few knitting podcasters that occasionally do Audible. I don't know of any of the writing guys because the writing guys tend to do what's that stupid thing? The masterclass. And the other one, masterclass and are you showing off your starfish, JJ? Okay. He's just trying to get my yarn. I know. Anyway, yeah, so we'll call it a night there, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, David, for visiting to chat about one of the family's favourite books. And thank you, Charlotte, for serenading us with some very badly tuned guitar. Good night, guys.
Better.
Yeah, it sounds a little better. Still needs some stretching. Bye, guys.